You know how some photographers have such distinct visual styles that their work is instantly recognizable? I think Joey L is a really good example of this. I was in Europe a few years back and something in my peripheral vision caught my eye. I looked around and found myself staring at this billboard. Now, Joey L has developed a way of expressing himself that's so distinctly him that I recognized one of his new photos out of the corner of my eye. That's pretty amazing, right? I think many of us struggle to develop a distinct style because our approach to photography is about keeping up with the Joneses. It's about getting the same photos as everyone else. I read an interview a few weeks ago that got me thinking about this. It was with this guy who judges travel photography competitions or something similar. He was saying that many of the entries these days just all feel like duplicates, the same subject matter shot in the exact same way. And I think this speaks to how we as a community think of photography. Too many of us fixate on the destination, on getting a great photo. And we need to spend more time just enjoying the journey. I know this sounds like a trope, a bit cliche, but hear me out. I think that the best way to develop a unique style is to pay less attention to what other photographers are doing. And I know how hard that can be, especially these days. We're constantly encouraged to collect travel photos as if they were trophies. It's all about spending the least amount of time collecting as many popular landmarks as possible. So maybe a change of perspective is required. When I started going off the beaten track, forcing myself to ignore Insta-famous locations and instead search out my own compositions, I realized something very quickly. I wasn't a very good photographer. You see, it turns out there was a massive visual language shaped hole in my knowledge. Photography is a form of visual communication. The more fluent you become in it, the better you'll get at expressing yourself. And over the years, I've slowly improved. I've started expressing my ideas, my interests, and my personality, I guess, through my photos. About a year ago, I created a series called Fight Night. I'm really proud of these photos because of the way they visually expressed the ideas I had at the time. I wanted this series to feel intimate, as if the viewer was right in there with the fighters. And to convey this, I used my wide-angle lens. Shooting at 16mm let me step right into the action, like really close. I almost got punched in the head a few times, but I think it was worth it. I think the photos work. Typically, you don't try and include all your lights in the frame, but this overly dramatic lighting has a POV, a point of view feel. It brings you into the fight. You're blinded by the lights, just like the fighters were. And then I also used smoke to make sure there was nothing else in the frame, really. Nothing matters here except the two fighters and the blinding lights. One more thing, notice how the framing is unusual, bent horizons and weird perspectives. That's all for the same reason. I think it's giving the images an unstable feeling, like you'd feel if you were being punched in the head. You'd feel unstable and unsure on your feet. And that's why I like these photos. I went into the shoot with ideas and I came out with photos that I think communicate those ideas visually. And that's all thanks to visual language. This approach meant that I looked inwards for my ideas. I didn't revert to just copying someone else's work. Okay, so I've taken you on this roundabout scenic route to make this point. Learning visual language is the first step to developing your own signature style because it will give you the confidence to seek out and explore your own compositions. And in time, and it does take time, you'll become a more skilled visual communicator. Your interests, your ideas, and your personality will start shining through your work. That's how you develop a distinct visual style. But that's just the first step. You still need something interesting to say. So many of the best photographers, of the best artists, were and are obsessive students of people, of nature, of life. But it's their fluency in visual language that enables them to consistently package and express those interests through their work. See you next week.